Hello, welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Johnny B.
And I'm Clueless Mike.
But together we are Modelling for
Modelling
Advantage.
Advantage.
Hey.
That was pretty smooth.
We're trying out the long format with the big heads. Let's see how that
Anything
goes.
to make it look longer is always a bonus.
Yes. Apparently, if you shave it, it looks longer. I'm going to try that.
So,
Ian Harrison said at lunchtime, it's really late, I can't be there. But thanks anyway. Rich John is here. Rosie's here, of course. Charles Latora. Subs, hello there, my friend. Nick from Team Clueless Games. See,
evening, mate.
On, Mike. That's what it is. Alid is here, of course. Tony Holton, listening while stickering blocks for Command and Colors Checkmate Rising.
Sweet.
Stickering blocks. Is that for Blucher or something? David Tickle, nice to meet you, Johnny, at CrackCon. Thank you for educating me about Edward the sausage dispensation.
Oh, exactly.
Yes. War of the Roses knowledge. Gary Saffron 69 is here. Duncan FX is here. He has finished the World War I British and started work on the Germans. Friends of Horus. So that will be coming soon, hopefully, a few months. Friends General Haig, ahoy sailor. Starter box for 0200 looking pretty damn good. Yeah, I haven't actually checked his website this week, but I think he did say it was coming out very, very soon. That he would physically have the stuff, but he was waiting on getting the sprues before he went with pre-orders. Kaz forgot to press the go button. But I'm ashamed to admit I was sharing a joke with John, which would be lost on the rest of you, I think. Sneaky game due up soon. The head rat is here, a lofty position to have, no doubt. Ricky Turner, I'm not sure what that's in response to. Deploy emergency inflatable Kaiser. Yeah, they must have it's got one of them. It's a plug-in system, you know. Anyway, reboot the Kaiser head rat, right? And Rich John says, too busy getting the pre-order for 0200. I'll click on start the stream. Is it up for pre-order now? I'm going to have to check that immediately.
Yeah, they were talking about it last night.
Oh, he was on Plastic Crack. Yeah, I only caught the back end of that. And I try not to just turn up in other people's streams going, hey, I'm here from Modelling for Advantage, and then not have anything else to say. It just feels like, you know, trying to just like wave your own flag in a corner.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys watch him. Someone else we met recently as it's Storm of Steel Gaming. We were at CrackCon, which I should have uploaded the bloody pictures for. I forgot that. We did take some pictures.
Where was CrackCon? I haven't heard of that one.
It's the one that the Plastic Crack podcast is. It's like a Jacob's Join Wargame show. So you kind of it's in a store and it's like bring scenery, organized games. So it got real community vibe to it. It was lovely. Where was it, John? Was it in Derby?
Yes, Derby at Bash, Board and Sword Hobbies.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So we're going to talk about campaign games tonight, obviously, because, you know, Combined Arms is out. If you haven't seen our video, then, I mean, what our re-video? That's a new word, that. It's a review video, a re-video. If you haven't seen that, then have a look. That's what prompted. We're not just talking about how to talk about campaigns in general, our feelings about them. But hobby-wise, I am going to get the SPQR goals, and I am going to be putting some putty on the base because I discovered last week I could do that while I was doing the show, as opposed to failing to hobby, which is what I usually do. John, what are you up to?
Are these more doggies, are they? I'm painting random Dark Age dude bros. I've got a bunch of them here.
It could be a Saxon Field, it could be a Viking bondsman.
I don't think I'll be able to get away with using them in Ancients. I mean, they're close, right? They got spears.
Clothing
and
is
stuff.
very different.
It is very different. These will likely be used in the Rampant games. I'm also using pipettes to try and with my own special brew of white.
Your own special white liquid.
Yes.
Nice.
Which will be bringing the flock together, much like your beautiful board, sir.
Yeah, tell them the thinking with the flock, John. Just
I want to know how this pet works.
How the pipette works? Well, I'm
Well,
just using.
I know how pipette works, but how does it work in the modelling sense?
I'm just using the really watered down, super expensive scenic cement that we got ages ago. But a lot of the dudes that are flocked at the moment, it's very granular still, very grainy, and it looks a bit odd. So I've got the pipette so I can use this watered down PVA to try and merge it together, much like Kaiser's board. That's the plan anyway. Anyways, not for that shenanigans.
No, that JV Scenics flock that we talked about.
The triple blend.
The paint, and we have the mix on the modelling for Advantage Store. It's 3 different bags. But the point about why the JV stuff is good is the paint isn't sealed. So when you mix the 3 colours, if you then apply water and PVA, the dark patches and the light patches, the paint leaks the dye in them.
Yeah.
So it both softens it because it has a really gritty texture, sharp edges when you first glue it down. So you need to put watered down PVA on the top. And the pipette is allowing you to put that without covering your model in PVA.
Exactly, and
from a spray
very measured and targeted doses. Mike, not that Mike, that Mike. Have you got
very confusing
things? Yeah, what have you got on your hobby desk?
What am I painting?
Tonight?
I mean, as usual, I'm painting a Space Marine of some sort, or
a red one.
Red, right?
Well, he's got
it's black.
red on him. He is a Death Company Marine, so.
I forget there are some black ones in there.
And then I'm also painting a giant, great beast of an Imperial Knight Castellan stroke Valiant because
that is a monster
to blow things apart with giant guns and firepower.
Can't help but notice you've got it magnet.
Well, obviously, so it comes with certain weapons. So it comes with this big gun. Whoa. But obviously, Games Workshop being Games Workshop, they do like to change the rules on stuff and make it useless. So I like to So I made my own little harpoon. But
you made your own harpoon. That is vicious looking harpoon.
With the help from the local Facebook group that I'm a member of, that John's a member of as well. I got a big flamer piece from a dude there. I can't remember the name of who it was. I'd say thank you. And that goes in on that side. So a nice big homemade giant flamer.
Wow.
I like magnetizing it, I think.
At this moment in time, with us all sharing what we're doing for hobby, I would normally introduce the guest. Unfortunately, Gamers with Coffee couldn't make it to the show tonight due to unforeseen circumstances.
Basically,
so you stuck with
a guy at work was supposed to cover for him and he's bailed on him at like half an hour's notice.
Well handy that.
Yeah.
Bless. Yeah. So, Greg, Ashley, thoughts are with you, and we miss your faces.
Yeah.
Anyways, what are we going to chat about? Campaigns and stuff, right?
We're going to chat about campaigns and stuff, but we're also, so I'll go to sharing the screen. We're also going to, first of all, talk about this because it's big news for those who are interested, right? So, Mike, why don't you tell them what are we looking at here?
So we are looking at contents of the new Horus Heresy launch set. I'm not going to say a starter set because I think this is probably priced a little higher than a starter set, but it's the launch set. It's the one to get us all excited. And to be honest, it's priced a bit cheaper than I was expecting. I don't think they've released the full price yet, but they said it's going to be sub 200 quid, which when you look at the Spartan in there, I mean, the Spartan at the minute, if you buy it from Forge World, is probably 130 quid kit. You're getting that. You're getting, I think, 30 normal Space Marines, 10 Terminators, a Dreadnought, 2 character models, lots of stuff. And I also saw an interesting little thing earlier from somebody who had the pre-release of this box because they've sent it out to various people who can get painting up and such. And they haven't upscaled the Marines very much, which pleased me quite a lot. They're a tiny bit taller than a standard like Space Marine Tactical Marine, but barely noticeable, and they're nowhere near the size of a Primaris, which I'm really pleased with.
Okay,
right.
That's good to know.
It's actually it's 40 Marines.
Is it 40? There. God,
it's 40 because it's notionally 2 sides, but clearly this is 1 each. Like you say, it's the launch box. Now it was Valrak who loves to get excited about all these things. He made a video today saying his inside source says it was going to be 180 quid. Now, for those of you that don't have anything to do with Games Workshop games, you're probably thinking, "Oh my god!" But for Games Workshop, that is a lot of models for their usual price point, which has got everybody very excited. And of course,
those 10 tactical marines will retail for at least 30 quid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And everything in this box, which is always the kind of real reason that people see value in it. Everything in this box is usable in Warhammer 40k, even though this is a launch set for Warhammer 30k. So that obviously makes it incredibly attractive.
It does. There's some sexy new bits in there. Oh my!
Yeah.
I love Beaky Marines. They're just the best Marines.
Beaky Marines are the best Marines.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think Sub said that. Yeah. Real Marines have beaks. John, what you know about Beaky Marines? Why do they have beaks?
I have no idea why they have beaks. I've not looked that far into it, but it's Mark 6 Corvus armor, and it was a beautiful piece of armor. And it had
like
the
extra
beak.
special sensors and stuff in that beak.
Yeah, most probably.
I have a feeling there is.
I think
they were equipped with holy potpourri in the novel to get rid of the stench after Istvan whatever.
Yeah.
Happened. It was terrible. But yeah, they're iconic, man. They're like some of the they were the first Marines.
They were,
right?
yeah. The old RTB1
the Rogue Trader age.
My favourites. I don't know why they started with Mark 6, but yeah.
Yeah. In other news, just for those that are interested, Subs pointing out Lion Rampant 2nd edition. So, Blue Books, Osprey Blue Book rules, they're a bit hit and miss, but to my mind. But what I've seen of Lion Rampant, and I know you play it with Jason, don't you, John?
I played it with Jason as well.
Yeah.
I like the Rampant games. They're simple.
They're quick fun. They're not super balanced. You wouldn't want to play a tournament where you're kind of like randomly rolling everything, but for a quick bit of fun, they work really well.
They work a treat.
And who knows, maybe in the 2nd edition, they won't have that when you fail, it's the end of your go. So you can just keep not having nothing happen for you.
It did happen a few times where it was like you'd both keep failing.
Yeah.
Not only would you fail and not do anything, but then your opponent would do the same. So that was a bit stupid. Some people have house ruled it. I think Dom or somebody mentioned, there goes my pipette, FYI. My pipette has just fallen into the really large bottle of stuff.
Of glue.
Yes, of glue.
Nice.
If you fail one, you get like a free action and stuff. So yeah, hopefully they've done something like that.
See, I quite like that mechanic of, for those who don't know, you have to make a test for the action you wish to do, and you have to roll a test and see if you're allowed to do it. And if you fail to do it, you don't get to make the action. It passes to the opponent. So it's kind of like Blood Bowl in that you're supposed to choose the easiest actions first, and that's kind of like your balancing mechanic, is you've got to choose your risk reward that you get. But I would like a little more control over it. As you say,
fraction would be nice.
Fail would work well.
It's interesting that, because that's as someone who's played a lot of different types of games for since and experienced the kind of movement in war games preferences. And I think it was you that actually coined the phrase in talking to me before about 40k's morale system and how it changed. It is something that many players don't like. It's losing control of their models.
Yeah.
No, and that's a really core thing. Is you're not in control of your models in this system.
Yeah.
It's a Marmite thing. Some people like it, but a lot of people don't like it. I think it's a really brave system. But there were a lot of games in the mid-90s that were really into activation and how much you can do, and that idea of limits of battlefield control. And more modern ones like Lardy type games, they will use the same idea, but they're much more permissive. It's about what you can do, not about what you can't do. Which this is similar, isn't it? It's like you roll and you can do it.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's interesting because the older I get, the more I like my games to be more gamey. I'm less interested in winning because I brought a better army. I'm more interested in winning because dice or the cards or whatever. They just made it different from the last game I played.
Yeah.
Yeah, in board gaming, it's known as games that have very little random in them and generally less theme are Euro games. So they're often kind of like resource management, that kind of stuff. And then they're
Bean
called
counting.
crash games are often done
Very dicey with miniatures.
but they're also based on an IP quite often.
Right.
So they're paying for a license, and they're a lot more random. And in board gamers, it's very much a half and half. Some people love a Euro game, some people love an Ameritrash game, and it's just what you prefer doing. One of my best mates, Dando, he really much prefers a Euro. He likes to be in control of all the actions. Any random that we stick into it, he's like, oh, it doesn't like that at all. He really likes just to be in control of every element, as you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think mine's like that too, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I like random. I love random.
I love random.
Yeah, I like a bit of random in a game. Helps even up skill level, because best will in the world, you're very unlikely to be playing somebody of exactly the same skill level as you. And
and it can address problems with the imbalance of armies and things like that. Yeah. The bigger the chance factor is, the less important it is that you're on meta.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
but anyway, we're gonna talk about campaigns. So got the pictures as much as anything else. They're just to kind of structure the conversation. So this is what's prompted it, right? Combined arms. So this is the new land, sea, and air system. We talked about it a little bit, and some of you probably watched the video. Land, sea, and air system from Warlord Games. We've had a little play of it. It's not perfect, but it's all right. And it's kind of as we've been thinking about the stuff that we do on the show. One of the mechanics that we've played it again since we did the review, and one of the things I liked a lot about it, and it only came into play at the end of turn 5, was the snowball problem. It deals with that incredibly well.
Yes,
snowballing is a huge problem in campaigns. I get an early lead. Or I've got a better army, so I win battles, so I get more stuff. So I'm saying the guy who's in front has been powered up to get further in front.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way of making the game interesting.
It's what ends most campaigns, I find.
Yeah. It's like I've won this. It's only battle 4. Yeah, absolutely. So in this system, when the way that the game is won is by scoring victory points for controlling objectives, right? Fine. You control Paris, you get when the card comes up, says score for the city, you score the victory point. But that card has got more information on it than that. And one of the things that we discovered was that usually if you scored a victory point, the other person gets to escalate, which is add another army to the battlefield. And the number of pieces you have, the number of armies or fleets or air forces, is finite. You start with 6 each. So at the end of the first, once we've gone through the whole deck the first time, which is the end of round 5, John had scored 3 objectives because he'd had 1 not from the cards and 2 on the cards. I'd scored 3. John had an extra army.
Yeah.
For me.
So but like, you were
right. Yeah. So it's quite the reverse of snowballing. If you're scoring hard and the other person isn't, they're getting extra pieces.
Yeah, that's much better. You're getting the option of scoring or setting yourself up for further instead of both.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was a really good mechanic. I also felt good having played a full sequence of it, was knowing that we were probably only going to play a total of 15 campaign turns, because that would mean someone had probably scored 10 victory points by the time we reached that, just because of the deck is 5 victory card points and 5 other cards.
Yeah.
So they would all be scored, because you go through the deck and then you shuffle them and reuse. So it wasn't going to go on forever. There was an end point and an abstract score about map control of the strategic map. So I felt pretty positive about it. It's got problems, like every system. There's some things about it we didn't like, but broadly speaking, pretty happy. Anything else to say on that, John?
Not really. I mean, obviously, we're primarily using it as an engine to get our games in a loose campaign, isn't it? Like Bolt Action and get a chance to play Blood Red Skies and hopefully Cruel Seas. That's going to be a laugh. So as an engine for doing that, that's perfect. And you're not having to sit there and think. I mean, we have looked at the campaign books and maybe doing that, but one of the biggest problems with that is the time investment we would need to get. I mean, some of the missions, like I can't remember, was it D-Day, British book, whatever.
Yeah, we wanted to do that, and then we looked at the
It
army.
looked lovely, yeah.
And then
there was like mission 3.
Army
okay, exactly. Mission 3, you need an entire city of rubble. I mean, yeah, we could maybe get away with it, but having a couple of houses, but it's just not the same.
And because of the YouTube thing, we didn't just want to stick 40k ruins on and be like, that'll be all right.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah.
It's like, at home that is all right, but on YouTube, I don't really feel that's good enough.
Yeah, when you're filming it, you can't really do that.
You should be at least having a go. So, does anybody have any questions about Combat Arms, by the way, before we move on? Because we have played it now.
That's a good point. Yeah, we've played it enough.
I know people might be interested in buying it.
Possibly. As a board game, it's all right.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions about it.
Yeah.
So it integrates, I can't remember the names of the exact games in, but it's integrating the various different styles. Do you feel it lends itself more to, is one of them the main game in it? Is it kind of like one with 2 others supporting, or does it let you kind of like choose which one you want to be the main game, or do you need to play all of them?
You don't need to play all of them. You absolutely can choose not to play any of them. But what there is there's I don't know what you would call them. There's like trick cards that give you a bonus, right? And there's 2 different versions of it. One is if you're just playing the board game, and that'll just say +1 to your next air raid, which will operate on the campaign map. Or there's another version of that card that would be for Blood Red Skies if it was an air raid one.
I see.
Would say, in the next mission you will have 1 extra level 5 pilot.
Okie dokie.
So they're different in that respect. But you could choose. All the battles do is determine the outcome of combat that would otherwise be roll a d6. You need this number to kill.
Okay, so say if it was a game of Risk, when you move your army in and you roll your 2d6 to see who's going to defeat who. So replaced in this game is you then play your battle, and the outcome of that is the outcome of your die roll.
Yeah. So if you take the classic Risk, 2 pieces attacked by 3 pieces. In this, I'd have 1,500 points of bolt action, and John would have 1,000 points of bolt action.
Oh, nice.
We roll those Risk dice. We fight that battle, and then remove pieces as appropriate.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how much bookkeeping is going to be involved.
Yeah. Do you think the system will stretch to other periods, e.g., drop the air and use it for Napoleonics? The battle system is extremely simple. It is literally roll a dice, and there's a target number based upon the unit type. So planes are very difficult to kill. You need a 6-up, infantry a 5-up, whatever. If I've got 2 pieces attacking your 1 piece, I get a +2 to that, maybe a +1.
Supporting units give a additional. Depending on the supporting unit, there's a little bit of a niche there. Like
there's a little bit of that.
With your infantry, if they've bolted, you can do a blitz move to get an extra hex move. But if you've done that, you're not particularly good at supporting at the time.
Yeah.
So could you use it for other periods? So stripping out the air isn't a problem. It's as much the fact that the way the combat, the way the strategic map works, and all the cards are very much about air raids.
So you lose a load of the flavour.
Bad weather. You could still use the modifiers that it said on the card.
Yeah, mechanically it would work, but flavorfully it wouldn't at all.
Yeah. And Napoleonics, for example, pretty much until even in the 1870s, the Franco-Prussian War, is still my army is looking for your army. We've got 1 each. you know, and we're going to fight a major battle, and maybe I'm going to split part of my army off to go and fight part of your army before the major engagement. But generally speaking, both sides are looking to have a decisive battle.
Yeah,
and they've got one field army. So in that respect, I don't think it wouldn't do First World War because it's too lethal. as in there'd be gaps in the lines everywhere. You know, you can't have a piece stretch over an empty hex, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't think it would. No, if I'm being brutally honest, it'd work for a modern one. He'd work from World War II forwards. But you need relatively dispersed and fairly mobile forces that are fighting in a more flexible way for it to make sense, I think.
Yeah, it needs to be a big map campaign, so it needs to be armies and forces that would work on that.
Yeah, that's my thinking. Now, Andy, off topic, I fancy Warlord Epic ACW, yes or no? If you fancy ACW because you want to play ACW, then I think the models are fine, but there is one model.
Yes.
There is a mountain of sprue, which is all the same. I think one of them's got a flag on.
It's immediately daunting when you look at that.
There might be some variation, but I don't think there is. Basically, each sprue is pretty much identical strips and bros. And actually, on the scale of the game that you're playing, that's not that noticeable. But as soon as you then move on to cavalry, you're looking at metal. Same with that. So, but if you want to do ACW, and the reason I'm saying that is because the new Napoleonic range is massively more comprehensive. And if you're going to play Black Powder, you're going to get much better range of models by looking at their Napoleonics range rather than their ACW range. If you want plastic on sprue, if you like metal, then anybody's. My American Civil War is Callisto metal.
Does anyone really like metal? I mean, it's better than certain resins.
I like it more as I get older. Yeah.
I don't.
What about you, John?
What, metals?
Yeah, metal.
Well, I'm a fan of Oldhammer, so I love metal.
Yeah. True monopose.
Realistically, I do. Yeah, monopose plastics. There you go. They're the only plastics I like. I want my dudes to look all the same.
Nostalgic here.
Too much.
Yeah. I love all models. What I'm on about? I'm just a hobby. Yeah, word. I love them all.
You love them all. You love them all. Yeah, it's the prep time. It's really the thing with plastics. But then I've reached a point in my life, mostly because I do this and have a full-time job and a long commute and a channel. I'm very, very poor I'm not exactly cash rich, but in many ways, time has become more valuable to me than strictly money considerations. Because I just can't do all of the things I need to get done anyway. And plastic has got a lot of assembly time, especially. And I came to realize that actually with Games Workshop's Dreadnought kit and the Redemptor is like 100 and odd pieces. I built one, and it's like I'm never building a kit like this again. It just takes too long.
Hello.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know if any of you. It's the Adeptus Titanicus kits, so the Warlord Titan in that.
Literally going to say,
I was so busy for it.
Is so much more complicated than that is. It's horrendous.
Yeah, I was so interested in Adeptus because Adeptus Titanicus was what I was into rather than 40k. And it's like, oh, it's come back. This will be great. And I saw the sprues being reviewed. And I was like, good God, no. I can't do this.
Apparently a fab game.
Because I got smaller ones now. You get like the Reaver Titans and the...
you get Knights, which are like this big, but they're still like 15, 20 pieces.
Oh, God.
Crazy.
Price point. Right. So fair question. Combined Arms price point. 50 quid is a bit steep considering the board.
It's 50 quid.
It is 50 quid, yeah. If it was 20 to 30 quid, I'd give it a punt. I would say I would say that is a fair comment. I don't dispute that. I was expecting it to be 35 quid, something like that.
Yeah.
People tell you card stock has gone up in price or whatever. What I would say is it isn't just a board and tokens insofar as the cards and so forth. It's not just a campaign mechanism. The cards and stuff made the game more interesting than I expected it to be. I thought it'd really just be a you can move one square and when you fight, play bolt action. And there's a lot more to it than that. And they're not expecting to sell thousands of these. Somebody was paid to write the rules, and the rules are okay. There's actually, considering what it is, it was a much better game than I thought it was. But you're absolutely right in terms of like amount of plastic in box. 50 quid does feel like a lot.
How much card and stuff is there in the box? And how kind of like deep is the rule book type of thing? Is it?
The rule book is not deep, nor should it be. It's not that kind of game.
Yeah.
So there's the box. Most of the cardboard. There's a sheet of tokens, and there are 4 of the gaming maps, which are about 1 foot square.
Good quality or paper?
Yeah. No.
Big fat ones.
They're decent quality, but they're not, they're not world-breakingly good, but they're decent. This is not something to pick up if you're not going to play it.
No, 50 quid is a high price point.
Yeah.
It's not high for a good board game nowadays, but if it's not a good board game and it's not giving you many miniatures, then, as you say, you've got to get the use out of what's in there, which is the campaign.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I think a lot of people have lost sight of how much board games cost these days. Because you pay 50 quid for Settlers of Catan, which is one board, that amount of cardboard, and a handful of little wooden men, and a deck of cards.
Board games are horrendously expensive nowadays.
I'm not saying that makes it okay. From a third party, not from us, obviously, we don't offer that higher discount, but you'd be able to pick it up for 40 quid from Whaling Games. But it's not nothing. It's not something to just think maybe, I'd only buy it if I was going to play it at that price point. And you will be able to see us playing it soon. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah, yep. Definitely. Don't know when, but yep.
I think you're asking the wrong people here. Saffron69 says, your favourite 10mm, 15mm, or 28mm? Mike.
I'll go 28.
Because it's the only scale he plays. John.
Things are changing in my mind. I'm pretty much completely 28mm. But well, no, I took them this morning.
Yeah.
So that's all right. But no, I'm increasingly. I'm not for painting reasons, but gaming reasons and aesthetics. I think I'd like to go for the little giddy men. Because you get so much bang for the buck.
And Team Yankee, that's 15.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful.
And you get a sense of scale that you just don't get with the 28mm.
Completely, exactly.
You've got 25 tanks on a 4-foot table. Yeah.
As a team.
So I have flipped around. I've even in the not that long ago, within 5 years, cleared out boxes of scenery and decided I have got to pick a scale and stick with it.
Yeah.
So I cleared out 6mm scenery that I'd had for old Napoleonics that I hadn't played for generations. The models were all bent because they'd been poorly stored. I was like, I'm going to get rid of this, get rid of the 6mm World War II. And I regret it now. I deeply regret it. Because again, that sense of scale of the smaller game is attractive, but you can't fit it all in your house. So I think...
Recommend owning a factory.
Currently, I recommend owning a factory. Yeah, there goes mate. I think my favourite scale of all models that I painted and played with is 54mm.
You're going the other way.
I'm going
the other scale.
Way. If you're going to play a game with 5 to 10 models, 54mm. There's some
nice
lovely models. And the full range you've got there. You can get 10 Tamiya Germans that were made in the 70s for £5, or you can get one brand new, beautiful resin, awfully to put together model for 25 quid. you know, because they do collectors and the whole range in that scale because it's more a modeler scale. But actually, I'd like to play more skirmish games in that scale. And yes, you're probably right. It will be cheap at some point. 28mm is a people's favorite. Yeah, right. I better move on to the next thing because we're halfway into the show and we barely talked about campaigns. So this has been the motivator. Obviously, hopefully, most of you know about this. SPQR. We've been playing it on the show. We've played our 4th game now, and the rules are garbage. The campaign system is really clunky in terms of bean counting the money at the end, but we've been loving it because it's a campaign.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about campaigns. Any campaign, any system.
Yeah,
it's about the people playing with.
The experience stories of those characters.
It's the telling the story.
Yeah. But this. No, it's not. But it serves its purpose, and yeah.
And so it's utterly got me to feeling it's like, okay, so as the channel, you know, and I'm always looking at what we do next. And the problem is, what happens? I buy a whole bunch more miniatures and say, "Here, John, we'll play this." He's like, "All right," takes 10 of them, builds one,
paints 3,
one, and then I'm like, "Oh, let's do the next thing. We should do that instead." Anyway, is that we should go back to as many of the games that we kind of enjoy and try and see if there's a campaign system out there as a way of connecting the games together. Because I think we've had a lot more fun, and I hope you have too. I mean, has anybody here watched any of the SPQR that we've done? Has anybody watched those and not liked them? Oh. I know it's not everyone's thing, but has anybody watched that and thought, "Nah, I wish this wasn't a campaign"? You, because you like them yourself. You know,
me definitely.
They've got pretty good viewing figures and pretty good feedback. That you know, but then you know you see such a tunnel visioned viewer experience when all you've got is the comments to work. How many people watched that and didn't leave a comment, good or bad? You know, I don't know. People,
yeah, true. It is tough to call.
I don't know what more experience is, but it certainly made me feel we need to do more campaigns. Is where this has come from. So, Mike, tell us about miniature campaigns, your experiences.
So, I played a few back in the day. Mainly mine are all 40k related, but not totally. Blood Bowl is also a thing that's not quite the same.
Yeah, what is?
But you can really get into it. I remember we used to have a school Blood Bowl league back in the day. I can still remember the names of half my characters from my undead teams.
Wow.
Half my school friends will still fear the name Rammet the Fourth because he just tore through half their forces. And that's a really super structured campaign game. It works well. It's got proper built-in rules for kind of like your team getting better, but also rules to help balance that out. And it's certainly not perfect, and the new rules aren't either in balancing it out. But it helps balance the teams. And that's probably, it's got a nice structure to the Blood Bowl system that you can play more games than other people and it doesn't completely ruin it. Whereas miniature, the kind of like tabletop games, 40k say, where I played campaigns, very few of them have ever got to the end. And that's the general curse of campaign games.
Yeah.
But that's usually the same reason, though, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, very much. It becomes fun for one player and not fun for the other because it's become completely imbalanced. And as you said earlier, it's so hard to make mechanics that don't end up with that result because you want the people who are winning the games to get rewarded because that's kind of how we're wired. But you don't want the people getting rewarded too much that they then automatically win the next game and the next game. And that tends to be how it works. I mean, the other campaign killer is obviously time. If you're playing a 2-player campaign, then it often ends up with one player doing better than the other.
Yeah, and there really is nowhere to go in that situation.
No, exactly. If you're playing a 6-7 player campaign where loads of different people can cancel each other out, and you can gang up, which can often solve the problem of one player getting too good, but you then suffer the issue of how do you ever organise 7-8 people to play a campaign?
Yeah.
Inevitably, people drop out, and that fucks your campaign up. So
because there's a big hole in the map is what that.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly there's opportunities that weren't there before. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's the stories they tell that are really good, and that's why you want to play campaigns. I remember going back probably nearly 30 years now. I remember my mate Paul, his mum had bought a particularly weird-looking tablecloth, and that was the basis of our campaign. We looked at this tablecloth and we were like, "Well, that's a chaos world if we've ever seen one." Suddenly, his Eldar and my Space Marines were fighting over this chaos world. We must have had 6 or 7 games that were all linked because of this tablecloth, and we got characters out of that, which we still kind of like reference and such. It was great, and you need a spark for your campaign. You need to know what you're trying to do, and then you can build your rules around that. There aren't many systems out there that are pre-written that will fit exactly what you want to do, so you've really got to be willing to change stuff up, add your own rules, take out rules you don't like.
So that on the subject of SPQR, so as Friends General Haig is pointing out, campaign systems are good to watch. In so many systems, Johnny B would have stopped playing ages ago as he had no troops. Right. So I think that's one of the things that the luxury of it being a YouTube channel means that John's going to come on Wednesday and we're going to play a game, right? And he's, you know, we both have to be pretty resilient because we play each other and we both have winning streaks. I think apart from SPQR, John's won most of the games for quite a while, actually.
He has. He's been doing really well recently.
But the point is that now we've reached that point with the campaigns. What you were just pointing out there, Mike, is that I'm now ready to change the rules. I think we've played enough of this game and we see its flaws, but we're enjoying it. So as we go into game 5, we're going to change some rules. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the Roman legionaries a little bit better. We're going to give them, in Warhammer terms, they're going to have AP1.
Yeah. It's shocking. Yeah, we're upgrading the bolt guns. It's shocking.
You know, that's a small change. We'll see how big an impact it has and then review it. Because there were some structural things that we were doing wrong. It's like small units are a really bad idea with expensive models. Because the large unit bonus is really powerful.
Massively powerful.
We made those
especially
changes.
For your dudes.
It's great to watch. I don't think I'd ever play it, but the series has been enjoyable from a narrative perspective. So, and I say campaign because some of the people have perspective campaign, big map, all of that. None of that is existing. This is just a battle generator with persistent warbands.
Yeah,
that's all. This is a very simple campaign, but it has shown to me that I think we get more out of campaigns, and I think you do too. So the next campaign, you probably the next, not necessarily the very, very next, but Test of Honor is similar.
Same but different.
Same but different. It's similar in that it has persistent characters. So
yes, it does. I'm interested to see.
And they can level up during the battle.
During the battle?
Is it during the battle or is it after the battle?
I think it's actually from the objective cards. Now I've looked into it a little bit more. So you have objectives. If you complete an objective, you get a skill card. And then at the end of the game, win or lose, you get to keep one of your skill cards. So that means it's available to both players, not just the winner and the loser. And there is the actual base set of scenarios. It's a scaffolded series of scenarios, like a lot of games that start with this, then create your own warband of this many points. Then we'll add these rules. Then we'll add those rules. You know, and following this sort of story a little bit. So I think that there's space for us to lean into that on, you know, on quite a basic level, really. But we're gonna have to find out what Japanese names for samurai might be.
Yeah, you don't want to call them Bob. That will ruin the immersion.
Oh man, what do you mean?
Yeah,
that's an actual name.
Model yourself a little Tom Cruise and send him in.
Oh,
I love that film.
Years after this period,
still,
this is Sengoku Jidai. So because you missed them, see John's models with their massive nipples.
Whoa, like blood angels.
Yeah, they've got some proper Harry Watsits.
So these are because last time when Great for Games was on, I didn't have the completed one. So this is then finished.
That is then finished. Good. Wow.
So High Temple Guard. Yeah.
Yeah. Oosh, look at those eyes, man. They're on something.
Yeah, one eye looking at you, one eye looking for you. I love it, John.
Everything is covered.
This fella.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I just followed.
Do you know?
It says Johnny B was here. I don't actually know, but it is devotional script.
47 lemon chicken with noodles.
Quite possibly, yeah. Kung Pao chicken.
Okay. Kung Pao chicken.
It's not. I don't know, but I followed the box art as best I could.
Yeah, you gotta go.
It's not all of it, but yeah. Hey ho. Yeah.
Looks really good.
This is all speed paints, man.
I was going to say.
Well, that's a lie. It's not all speed paints,
but mostly speed paints.
Yeah.
Did you do pre-shading or not?
No, these are straight off. What's it called? Wraithbone.
That looks really effective for that.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So to that end, I don't know if you can see them. John is actually ahead of me on this one, but oh, they're all sliding everywhere.
Now they're all messed up.
They're all Halford's white spray primer, mate. They're in there, ready to go. There's a couple of cheeky Celts in there as well. While I had the rattle can out,
they make the best primer.
And the speed pants not even out the seal yet. Look, that's how much I'm ready for this. This is a virgin experiment for me.
It's going to be tough, mate. It's one of those. If you're a messy painter to start off with,
mate, that's
if you just slap it down, you can go back and amend that. You can't do that with this.
My whole painting technique is doing the bulk and working your way down to the details so that I can be messy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I get tidier as I get closer to the end.
Exactly.
So I was painting one of Mike's Marines. It'd all be red, and then it'd be Agrax, and it'd be overbrushed red, and then I'd start painting the gun.
That is exactly how I paint a Marine.
And once the gun's black, it's done, right?
Yeah.
Unless he hasn't got a helmet on. It's probably in the Space Force.
I played a game at the weekend, and I used some tactical Marines that I think I painted maybe 12, 13 years ago, and I used them next to one of my most recent painted Vanguard veterans, and the difference in paint job it was quite nice. It was a good feeling. I was like, blimey, this is a hell of a lot better than this one.
True. That's good.
Duncan's been using some speed pants for 10 or 15 mil. So that's John's hero. So that's kind of coming up soon type stuff. And then of course one that we've kind of forgotten, but actually it can go into the mix.
Kill Team.
We never did a Kill Team campaign in the previous edition of Kill Team, but we did play about 15, 16 games of it. And I like Kill Team a lot more than I like 40k because it's a bit more of a closed system. It was
but the difference is we're going to be pinned down to two factions, right? If we do this,
yeah. But I still wonder if it would make the game, because there's that whole aspect of development of the characters that we never really accessed in the last game. Because you did play a campaign in Kill Team with Clueless Mike, didn't you, John?
I have, yes.
We started, didn't we?
It was called the Somethinia campaign, I believe.
It was with Jason. Jason wasn't that reliable.
Yeah. It's all right. Mike was the GM kind of thing, and NPC player that would come in with like random missions. It'd come up with all these crazy, wacky, unbalanced missions.
Yeah.
Where I've got to like blow up a tank with a fork and like.
I think you managed it, so.
I did manage it, yeah. All thanks to Trick Shot Timmy and people.
Trick Shot Timmy, yeah. Your most powerful character ended up being just a basic Gene Stealer cultist goo.
Yes, basically.
Just lucky.
He just rolled more sixes, mate. Yeah.
I hear that's how you get better at wargaming.
That's how I did.
Battle plan roll sixes.
Battle plan roll sixes.
I haven't played the new Kill Team as yet. Is it as complicated as the old Kill Team?
When you read it, yes.
I mean,
when
obviously
you
you've got to get past the square, triangle, circle bobbins, but once you get past that, the old Kill Team was just 40k but more complicated, similar to Crusade.
So this isn't
but more complicated.
But it is written in Hyperborean. It is written in an arcane dead language or something. I don't know what Warhammer think they do when they're writing the rules there. So they're trying to protect themselves from misinterpretation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most of what I see online is willful misinterpretation, by the way.
Yes.
But then it makes it really difficult to comprehend what they're actually saying.
Yeah. 4 sentences where 4 words would do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shoot the closest target.
+1, 2 hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, SPQR is an interesting one because this as a comparison, though, I understand why Warhammer have to write their rules like that. So for anyone that's looked at SPQR, as your heroes level up, they can get access to new skills, and there's 2 prerequisites to accessing a new skill. One is there's a skill tree. You have to have progressed to the relevant point on the skill tree to take the next one. They're very small trees. There's a root skill and usually 2 branches. Right? They're very simple trees. The other is that there's a stat requirement. So you can't take the Blade Master skill if your attack skill is actually rubbish. You have to be competent with, so you need a +3 attack or something like that, right? To take Blade Master as an example. Right. So in a system like Warhammer, in SPQR, there's nothing to protect you against this. That, on the face of it, seems fine, because you want to envisage that as this is what I need to take the skill. I have a friend who said that if you get zapped by a druid, which gives you -1 stat, it switches your skill off. Because you no longer meet the requirements for that skill.
Yep. That is an interpretation.
That is an interpretation. Interpretation.
Yeah. Now, there's nothing anywhere in the rules that suggests that is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, and it's not going to be covered in a basic rule book, is it? That's
it's not. But
an FAQ question.
But Warhammer has to protect itself against those kind of things. So, and Kill Team was like Shadespire. It was designed much more for competitive play. And it's interesting because the game doesn't feel that competitive, but the rules feel like they are written in a very legalese.
Massively.
But it doesn't have the scale problem that what the 40k has, Mike. If you're saying is it more complicated, it really once you get familiar with the games, like bolt gun, right? After I roll 3, I shoot with 3 dice hitting on 3s. Yeah,
I mean, I think it takes a little while to master because there's still some of the core mechanics I've not quite grasped.
Yes.
Or keep doing it slightly wrong.
Difficult. It's the core mechanics that are difficult.
Yeah.
It's moving and shooting and whether you're in cover that's complicated.
Yeah.
Not your command points or your army.
It's mental. But it's an alright game.
Yeah, certainly compared to Warhammer.
Okay, well, what are you thinking then? Who are we gonna? What factions, or is that going to be a discussion for another day?
I'm tempted by all kinds of, because we kind of have to commit to it.
Yes,
because we have to commit to it. Now there is one more campaign that I didn't have the picture of, which I wanted to wave, which is unfortunately because of the payment requirements and so on. This is going to be a little bit further. Managed to get hold of some more of these. For anyone that doesn't know, and I didn't know, this little box is limited edition. I spoke to Stuart because we sold out, and it isn't going to be reprinted until next year.
Who's Stuart?
Stuart from Great Escape Games. Remember who was on the show? Stuart Macadoodle?
Yes.
Oh, you wanted me to say Macadoodle? Right,
yes.
Stuart McLaughlin from Great Escape
I've forgotten about that, actually, but yeah.
If you were tempted by this particular starter set, it's selling out everywhere and it ain't going to be replaced.
Oh, man.
You can get it from us if you want, but it is definitely cheaper from other bigger companies. But this is another one that I feel so. I love Westerns, not because I love Westerns, but I love corny Westerns.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So one of the things in my salad days when I was a Saturday girl in a public library, there were two types of clients that were my favorite, and it was the old girls and the old boys, because the old girls would take Mills and Boons out. I don't think they chose the titles; they chose the color, because the color tells you what style of story it is, and then it was just a weight thing. It's like how many of these? Because by this point you could take like 30 books out of a public library. And these girls would come in with a shopper and fill it with Mills and Boons, and he'd say, "I'll see you next Tuesday."
Oh yeah.
Some of the old boys used to read the large print westerns, and in bored moments on the counter, you just like turn to page 70, open
Let's
it
have
up,
a look.
and then just read that page. Like, John was a lonely killer. They're all the same. They're all really corny, and I really like that. And Fistful of Lead is one that I'm interested in. But I don't know if there are skills and stuff in this, so there may be some legacy stuff. And we do have some war bands, don't we? You've got the plastic guys out and girls out here.
Yes.
And I bought the Mexican outlaw type group.
It had to be done, didn't it? Your heart
absolutely.
was set on it.
Yeah, so I can insult anyone with my complete lack of Spanish knowledge and terribly corny accent. So anyway, yeah, campaigns, tips for campaigns, Mike. You've done a few. What would you say to be looking out for? And to be,
I think tips for campaign is plan in advance. So if it's 2 of you, maybe set up 6 games. Figure out where you want your story to kind of like which branches you might have. But if you set your games up in advance, if you both know how many you're going to play, it's far more likely you'll actually complete the campaign.
All right, so you've got a target.
A target, yeah.
As opposed to
6
take
games,
over the world in a computer game.
You can. That'd probably be a branching campaign. I think they're called. So you'd know if one player wins this, then you're doing this game, that, and then you see where you're going in that regard. But I think that's a good way to get a campaign finished. If you're just signing up for first time going for an open-ended campaign, it's not going to get very far. I think you need a little bit of more structure, certainly for the first couple of goes at it.
And then to learn from that to do some.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying there, because there's kind of the reverse of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
By the way, is saying, because I regretted the fact that we didn't use the campaign rules last time in Kill Team. We played something like 15, 16 games.
Yeah, you can't.
Why didn't we play it as a campaign?
Because it was going to be the same faction again and again and again.
Yeah. But we've played 4 big games of SPQR with the same models.
Yeah.
As people are complaining about the fact that it's the same battle. Because the scenario changed. But the Warhammer thing is more fickle. So if a historical campaign, who is the underdog and set expectations? Yes. So because the other way of looking at campaigns, if you can stomach it, if you go right back to the beginning of our Bull Action playlist, the first 4 or 5 were actually connected narrative battles.
Were they?
Do you not remember, John? We started with the ambush. It was a German breakout in Falaise Pocket, and you had all of your troops around you were like an advance party that was going to ambush and then bug out. And we Germans were trying to do a breakout. We had an armored car blown up on the road. Anyway, this was the thing that somebody just said about set expectation. One of the things I think that's if you're going to fight historical battles or close to historical battles where you're going to have uneven forces, you need to look at victory conditions.
Yes.
So when we did it in that, John's troops are all in ambush positions, and I don't have any more than he's got or whatever. I'm just going to get bored.
Yeah.
Is what's going to happen here. But the victory conditions for John is like, well, yeah, you're ambushing. You're going to win. You have to win hard for this to be a victory. Yeah. So he only scored half a victory point for a kill. So every kill I got was 1 point. Every unit kill John got was half a point.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to have symmetrical victory conditions. Asymmetrical games can be really interesting.
With asymmetrical victory conditions. Did you do well for the situation? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And the other thing about historical campaigns is avoid any of those missions that say just drive 10 men off the edge of the map. I can't bear
Oh my God.
They can be gamed
what
so
are they going to
easily.
achieve? What did they achieve by running off the map?
Well, you know, they're rifling through your pants or whatever.
Yeah. Even though they're 4 inches away from my other models at the back of the board. And presumably the rest of my force. But adjusting victory conditions. So, Mike, you would say you've gone into a campaign is to have a lot of prior knowledge about the system that you're going to use.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're,
I get that. No, I get that because I'm just kind of feeling that I'm happier to just do it on the fly a lot more.
I suppose it depends what you're trying to do. If you're just, it's what you're focusing on. So if you're playing a branched campaign, which you've set up in advance, you're more focusing on the wider story. So you're trying to tell the story of an invasion, the story of kind of like a linked series of battles. Whereas if you're doing a campaign that just rolls on and you choose a mission each time you're going, you're more then telling the story of the soldiers involved. So you're kind of like telling the story of that band of brothers, as you were, and they're the story to focus on. So I suppose it depends which you're going for, whether you're trying to tell a grander story or whether you're trying to focus it down on the actual character models involved, which that's certainly where the SPQR comes in, because the little characters that you've made up, that's the driving force of the campaign.
Yes.
You're interested in seeing what they're going to do next. Whereas if you're trying
to
tell
live, will they achieve anything?
Exactly.
Nope.
That's where a lot of the investment comes in. You put a load of effort into building and painting that model, giving a model a name in whatever you're playing. Give a model a name, and you are so much more invested in doing it. Even if at the start of the battle you go, this guy's name is Dave, and Dave's going to do well here, and then you follow him throughout the battle.
In a pickup game, the difference I think though is there, because you're right. So just giving them a name is mostly what we've done, and then they've developed personalities. Minimus Maximus is a chump. That's something that has become evident from his experiences.
He should not be in the field.
Campaign compared to a pickup game is the other player is also invested in that story.
Yeah, very much.
The thing about it is like, oh well, let's have a game on Thursday. What do you want to play? I will play 40k. All right, this is my guy. He's called Dave. It's like, okay, it's just a Space Marine captain called Dave. I find it hard.
I fire my las cannon at Dave.
You know, but in a campaign, you're both invested in those personalities, and I think that really helps. So, I'm not trying to disagree with you, because I kind of agree with everything.
They're very different style campaigns.
Yeah. But I think I'm going to approach new games with a lot more openness to play. If we're going to play 4 of these games, so that it works, let's just go use the campaign system. Let's just do it. Let's just have the fuller game. Because I missed a lot in the old Kill Team. I'm not that bitter about it, but I really surprised saying there's whole aspects of this game that you never play as a pickup game.
Yeah. I think last season of Kill Team served its purpose well. It was us playing a quick game, you know, on a Wednesday evening, and being able to change the factions. I actually preferred that.
Yeah,
personally, I preferred that than going, right, let's do this. But it would be interesting to see what we can make of it. You know, if we go in with the same mindset as SPQR, and you know, just make shit up.
So Thomas Chase says prepare some historical campaigns. They limit the types of support available and make sure you have those models. If there is a limit on us delivering more content of a particular type, it is always the modeling and the painting.
Yeah.
Why did you have to wait so long between episode 3 and 4 of SPQR? Was we other things got in the way, and we just didn't have time to get the painting done that was required for that next game, and it's like a non-starter.
Yeah, a game takes 3 hours. Painting a force for a game takes 20 hours.
Yeah, especially when you play 20 different games.
Yeah.
On the channel. Subs mentioned about Team Yankee. It's definitely in the pipeline. I've got the models. We haven't even done the unboxing videos yet, but we are going to do I'm making the East German force that I've been talking about for a while. Now we've got all the rules for that. John's British force. I built and painted that last year. This year I'm building and painting the Team Yankee. We might be able to get a cheeky one in with some of the Russians, but there will be models you've seen before. Because we've still not got round to doing any desert games yet for Flames of War. That's kind of very much in the back of my mind. A lot of things have happened, and there's been a lot less battle reports done this quarter than I would have wanted. A few things kind of fell through and got in the way. And so there's a lot of games that people will be saying, we haven't seen them for a while, and that's true. The bolt action is because we knew this campaign was coming. And we knew that when this campaign comes, there'll be different or more invested bolt action campaigns. We might even start recording that this week, if I can persuade John. My thinking is there might be a lot of relatively short videos. I think we'll do each campaign turn as a separate video. And then when they're so we can hopefully keep stuff coming out regularly. Some campaign turns there aren't battles. Yeah, so it doesn't start.
Exactly. There's not a battle every turn, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
It comes down to the cards and whatnot. Yeah.
All right. Where do we get to with the modelling? Well, I got my potty on my models.
Ooh.
Which is great.
How did you do that? You were busy talking. I have completed and flocked a whole 12 of these Dark Age Dude Bros. They're very moist. I've also flocked the carpet. For those viewers that noticed Bella
flocked the carpet. I just realised.
Yeah. Her left paw did hit my light Jarvis Scenic flock, which has now made a lovely pattern on the floor. So I'm going to deal with that now, I think. Where did you get to, Mike?
I painted, and everyone will be surprised at the colour, I painted some red on the end of this gun. Ooh. And I've nearly finished the Blood Angel. He is very close to being done because he needs to get on the table next week.
Oh, right. You're going to an event or something, Mike?
Just playing a game versus my mate Paul, but it's weird. It's one of those things in life.
That's intense, though.
When you first started playing, I'd happily play with unpainted models. Nowadays, it's like, oh, I've changed this weapon in a unit. Get this guy painted up because I really hate playing with unpainted models nowadays.
Yeah. I'm not absolute about it, but I
will use one, but I will try.
I probably wouldn't use one, but I wouldn't say I'm not playing you if you had one or two models that were painted. But I wouldn't.
I don't know. I'll call out my mate Nick. He needs to get painting.
That is
on Squigasaur.
Team Clueless Games in here, right? He's watching the show. You can tell him.
We played last week on my new beautifully painted city board, and he brought along this unpainted model. What was he doing?
What the hell?
I shouldn't diss the channel members. And Nick
he did try and beat me though. So what can you do?
Right, yeah. So that's that. On Friday, there's a Kill Team video coming out for those who are interested. It will premiere a little bit later than normal, I think, because I got slightly different structure at work on Friday. But I will be there for the premiere. And I think that's about it. Any final thoughts or words, John?
Keep them fizzy, and when the fun stops, stop. Yeah.
When the fun stops, stop. All right, yeah.
Words to live by.
Words to live by, Mike. Nuggets of wisdom for the beautiful people at home.
Have fun, enjoy your games. If you don't enjoy it, as John said, stop. Do what's fun. If you find a way that works for you, do that. Doesn't need to be in the rule book. You can do whatever you want. I'm a big one for altering rules. If you don't want to use the rules as they're written, just make up a new one. It's your game, play it.
All right, guys. That was us. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh.